Oh my. So, home movies from Texas, and probably from the mid 50s. The license plate on one of the cars said 54 on it, so I don't know how Texas license plates worked. Um, yeah, so I guess the couple that shares striped nightgowns together is also the couple that hunts together. Um, yeah, so sometimes I watch a home movie and I scroll through it and I see, like, oh yeah, maybe that's not appropriate. And sometimes I miss the scenes. So, um, yeah. Anyways, this is the AV Geeks Lunchtime streaming show, and I'm Skip Alzheimer, and we watch old 16 millimeter films, and are sometimes shocked by what we see. um, it's a different time, different place. But I certainly do not want to compromise your emotional health, because that's important, as important as your physical health. Here's a film that talked about it.
Did you find anything wrong? Is my heart bad?
No, your heart is in fine shape.
But what about the pains in my chest and my fast pulse?
You could have pains in your chest even though there's nothing organically wrong.
But there must be something. I'm nervous and my heart beats so hard that I can't get to sleep for hours after I go to bed.
And the more you think about it, the worse it gets. Is that right?
Yeah, those pains in my chest in class sometimes and find myself counting my pulse. I've fallen down on my work at school and don't get along too well with my instructors. There must be some reason for it. This can't all be my imagination.
Well, let's talk about it. Sit down. I repeat, your physical condition is excellent. I can't find anything wrong with your heart or any other organ for that matter. But still, you need treatment. I'm going to refer you to a psychiatrist.
A psychiatrist? Gee, Doc, I'm not crazy.
No, you're not. And you never will be. Take it easy. Don't let it upset you. A person does not have to be crazy to be helped by a psychiatrist.
But what will everybody think? You know people talk. I'd think the same thing myself.
Suppose I had found something wrong with your heart. I'd probably send you to a heart specialist for a complete examination and treatment. People wouldn't think the less of you for that.
No, I suppose not.
A psychiatrist is a specialist just like any of the others. It's simply that people haven't got used to thinking of him except in connection with insanity.
But I still don't see what he has to do with me.
I think you are emotionally upset. And in that sense, you are ill. Emotional upsets can produce all kinds of symptoms, can cause real pain and suffering. As a matter of fact, they're one of our most common ailments.
That isn't much consolation.
Well, you're definitely not an unusual case. Next to the cold, emotional upsets like yours are our most common illness. And now we're treating them as illnesses.
I still don't think much of the idea of going to a psychiatrist. My heart's pounding away right now.
That's natural. You're excited. Excitement and fear can cause reactions like that. Can happen to anyone. Take the athlete. Before an important game, he gets all sorts of peculiar feelings. There's a tight lump in the pit of his stomach. he can't seem to shake off that jumpy sensation. He suddenly finds he can't remember signals he's known for weeks. But as soon as he gets on the field, all that is over. He now is the well-trained athlete out there to win. This athlete simply experienced symptoms of pre-game excitement. Nobody worries about them because everybody knows their causes. Well, you wouldn't say there was anything wrong with that football player, would you? Nor with an actor, for that matter. You've heard about stage fright.
That's true, but I'm no athlete or actor. Where do I fit in?
We all have the same reactions in varying degrees. You too. Think back. Were you ever called down to see the dean? Remember, you were worried and apprehensive. You mopped your brow. The palms of your hands were sweaty. Your mouth felt like it was stuffed with cotton. You were constantly licking your lips. That was all just as normal as it could be.
Well, I was scared.
Right. Your brain had flashed a danger signal and your body reacted to it. That sort of thing, of course, bothered a lot of men during the war. In fact, it was so common, the Navy made a film explaining just these symptoms which you too are complaining about. Scare or excite a man, and automatically the body's signal system starts functioning. Nerves go into action and stir up a couple of glands. These glands come through a shot of adrenaline, and things really begin to happen. Nerve cells get hopped up. You may perspire freely. Your mouth may get dry as powder. Your stomach may feel tied up in knots. But it all makes sense. You see more clearly. You hear more keenly. Your muscles are tense. Your body is ready to act and act fast. But to act at top speed calls for extra energy. That's where the liver comes in. This is a fuel tank. The fuel is sugar and is stored in the liver. Getting scared gets it out to the bloodstream, to the muscles that need it. To get it there quicker, the heart pumps faster, and you breathe harder, bringing in more oxygen to change that sugar into strength. When it really gets going, your heart feels about 3 times bigger than it really is, and it pounds away like a trip hammer. It may even become painful. The heart may feel as if it had sharp points. Wouldn't surprise me if those are your symptoms. They're much more common than you think. Lots of people have them when they're excited or scared. But when you know you're excited, when seeing the dean, for instance, you don't worry about these symptoms because you understand the cause for them. But if you, a healthy boy, have these symptoms without knowing of any cause, that's the time to consult a psychiatrist. It's his job to uncover that cause.
How does he do that?
Well, that's his specialty. Let him tell you about it. I'll make an appointment for you. Try not to worry.
Thank you, Doctor.
Well, from all the reports, you seem all right physically.
But I do have pains in my chest.
Tell me about them. How long have you had them?
They started a little over a year ago.
Do you recall the first time you felt that pain?
Yes. It was during exam week at high school. I was awfully at one exam. I got those pains and was afraid of a heart attack. I told my parents about these pains. Father thought it couldn't be serious, but Mother worried and took me to the doctor who examined me and said there was nothing wrong with my heart.
Did that make you feel any better?
Well, Mother was afraid the doctor might be wrong. She kept on worrying.
But did those pains persist?
No. After the exam, they were gone. But I still worried about my heart.
The immediate cause of that pain was your worry about the exam. You knew you were excited, and that can bring on many different kinds of reactions. That pain was probably such a reaction.
But why do I have the pains now?
I don't know yet. But there is a cause. We'll go deeper and find what's really bothering you.
How can you find it?
We'll just talk. You'll come here regularly and tell me about yourself. I'll ask questions, but mostly you'll just talk about your childhood, family, school, and so on.
I wouldn't know where to begin or what to say.
Just talk the way you told me about those chest pains. Tell me about your family.
Well, we're an average family. Dad works pretty hard. I guess he and I weren't too close.
How about your mother?
I was much closer to her. Dad was sort of strict. He didn't have much patience, especially when I didn't do what I was supposed to do or when I didn't do too well at school. I remember once, when I was about 10 years old, we had just gotten our report card and I didn't do as well as I had hoped to do. Dad looked at the card and scolded me for not trying. He raised an awful fuss. Mother was sympathetic as usual. Dad threatened to make me stay in after school every day and cut out my play. I ran to my mother for protection, and this only made him angrier. He pulled me away from her and wanted to spank me. My sister was scared and cried. I hated my father when this happened, and I used to whisper threats under my breath. Mother finally took me up to my room and put me to bed. I guess I remember this because I didn't think my report card was that bad. But it did leave me with an uncomfortable feeling in my father's presence.
And as a result, you learned to depend more and more on your mother for comfort. Your story about the so-called heart attack seems to bear that out. I believe that some of your present upset may be due to a certain insecurity you feel being away from home and the protection your mother offered. Think about that a little, and we'll get together again. These last few visits have demonstrated the presence of an emotional conflict due to being away from home. You see that?
Yes, you've brought that out.
And as we bring these conscious conflicts out into the open, your symptoms will tend to disappear or become less exaggerated.
I'm taking more interest in my classes.
That's fine. As a youngster, was your schoolwork consistent?
Not always. You see, I didn't get along with my teacher. I remember being kept after school once because the teacher wanted to discuss my work and general attitude. It was a pretty uncomfortable session. She wanted some explanation for the fact that my work had fallen off and why I seemed to resent her. She told me I had become irritable and wasn't even getting along with my classmates. She took out my old records and tried to find the reason for the drop. I couldn't tell her anything much. I don't suppose she was too satisfied with my explanation, although she did go out of her way to help me. As I look back, I think I blame her for my father's anger at my poor marks.
Well, you are making progress. You're beginning to uncover the causes for certain reactions that you had. We can explain your reactions to your teacher at that time, also your nervousness and the falling off of your classwork. All of it was undoubtedly due to a fear of failure and the possibility of incurring your father's anger.
But is it common to blame somebody else, like I did with my teacher?
It's the easiest way out. You felt that you weren't to blame. Your mother's comfort helped that. Your teacher gave you the marks for which your father punished you. Therefore, you put her in the same class with your father, whom you feared.
Well, there were times when I really hated him. I remember every now and then he'd lock me in a closet. I'd stand there and plan to run away from home. I figured they'd be sorry then. I even planned to kill my father and then run away.
And yet you never did. But those thoughts left a mark. You developed guilt feelings you weren't conscious of. Despite all the threats you whispered to yourself, you did have some affection for him as your father. That guilt you felt set up a conflict which only made matters worse.
I don't hate him now. I've grown up. But still, I resent those in authority.
You can't throw off old patterns quite that easily. You carry them over and apply them to new people in completely different environments. You may not want to do that, but you've set a groove which you naturally follow.
I can see now that there's no real cause for those resentments. But how will I get rid of them?
But you're doing that now. Talking about them and reasoning them out does more than anything else. Up to now, you've been prejudiced against your father, your teacher, and those in authority. All this became an emotional block that warped your reasoning. All your thinking came up to it and was warped along certain lines. Understanding the causes will help break down that emotional block. Try it for a while. You're really doing better now. I'll see you on Thursday.
I thought I'd never get here on time. I was playing tennis.
You made it, though. I'm glad to see you're taking an interest in outside activities. Well, your heart's not so bad after all.
I didn't expect I'd ever be doing it 4 months ago when I started these treatments.
You're coming along fine. How's your work?
That's much better, too. I don't spend so much time thinking about myself. But, you know, I have been thinking about something. You've talked a lot about guilt feelings, resentments, lack of security, and being away from my mother and other things.
Yes, they all apply in your case.
But what I can't see is, was I worse than most cases? Does everybody have these troubles?
It varies a lot. You're no exception. A single upset can lead to others and usually does. Environment, parental training, and your tendency to magnify certain incidents in your own mind can produce some complex results. Here's a common one. You have a younger sister. Do you remember when she was born?
I was 4 then, but I sure do.
Were you jealous?
I guess I was. I remember that there was a lot of excitement. My father and mother were busy with the baby and didn't pay any attention to me. When they first told me I had a baby sister, I was happy. But then Mother never spent any time with me. I must have been jealous and resentful. I even wished my sister would be sent back. I felt that I didn't count anymore. I can understand a lot of that now. I'll bet you'll tell me that's when I first began to feel insecure about not having my mother to myself.
Well, that's probably very true. But there's a lot more to it than just that. As you grew to love your sister, you felt guilty about having wanted to send her back. But most parents realize that and try to minimize it. Yours didn't. Then again, the knowledge that you were going to have a sister or a brother but didn't know how or what put other disturbing questions into your mind. Since your parents never talked to you about these things, you must have thought there was something mystical and evil about them. Parents can prevent a lot of emotional conflict like this, especially where the child is as inquisitive as you were.
I got most of the answers when I grew up.
Yes, childhood misinterpretations and fears carry over and are frequent causes of emotional upsets in young adults.
I know that now. I can understand a lot of things I couldn't before.
If more parents understood that their thoughtlessness can produce emotional disturbances in children, cases like yours would be less frequent. But you're really making progress.
I feel that I am.
Well, we'll get together a few more times to keep you on your toes.
Can I go now? I have a date.
A date or an appointment?
A date.
That's real progress.
did have a date. And from here on, his recovery was rapid. His case was no more serious or complicated than many others commonly resulting from childhood misunderstandings or lack of proper guidance. They can be prevented and cured, clearing the way for that well-balanced state of emotional health so necessary for good progress in school and so important for success and happiness in later life.
Wow, the hits just keep on coming. Kid fantasizing about killing his dad. We don't have a whole lot of patricide in our films, but there have been a couple. Fears of Children has a notable one, where a kid drowns a teddy bear that he envisions as his father. And to borrow from Freud, who was borrowed from pretty heavily in this film, you know, sometimes a cigar is just a cigar. Sometimes a closet that a child is locked in and is allowed to leave is just a closet. Wow. I mean, there's some ham-fisted psychological things going on here, but the film is an attempt to talk about the fact that emotional health can affect physical health, and you know, you got to give them that, right? That there are things that cause anxiety and, you know, the physical manifestations of that. So wow, that was something else. All right, behind me I have a telecine, which is a machine that we use to transfer films to video, and we do it live. I'm very excited to, where is it? Oh. To present you with the AC Meeting Guide 1971. That's the film behind me is the 1971 AC Delco campaign. This presentation is designed to be used for both distributors and jobbers. You will need all of your campaign materials as well as your 16mm projector and MP18 Elgin stereo tape player with tapes. Old radios, I'm looking to you for that. So then there's a script, and I don't know if there's a script that's in the film. Yeah, so let's watch this. We did watch another AC Delco thing, which was kind of a parody of Laugh-In with music and Alex Karras. Let's see if this has got some musical numbers in it. Enjoy.
It's great to buy a new car, and I don't want to worry about it later. I want it to stay like new because, well, I'm a customer.
I'm a wholesaler, and I buy parts just like everybody else. And quality is important to me. I'm a customer, and I want to know that my customers are satisfied.
At my station, it's hard to tell who's the customer, me or the guy who drives the car in. I'm a demanding customer because my customers expect the best from me.
Satisfied customers are the backbone of any successful business. At General Motors and at AC Sparkplug Division, customer satisfaction is not only a basic philosophy, but also a way of life. Over the years, we have expended much time, effort, and money to maintain close contact with the motoring public, so that we can provide our customers with the products and transportation services they want and need. To satisfy this objective, we conduct extensive research to keep us abreast of the nation's transportation requirements. Continuing improvement in quality, durability, serviceability, and reliability are major goals. Our products must be designed to meet changing needs. Equally important, we must provide our millions of customers with quality service after the sale. This is a critical requirement for repeat business and long-term success. As members of the nationwide parts distribution system, through which General Motors reaches service facilities across the country, you play a vital role in helping us provide good, prompt service for the owners of our products. Thus, you also are very important customers of ours. Whether the customer is a warehouse distributor or a wholesaler or a retailer who provides consumer availability, General Motors and AC go all out to satisfy his needs which will continue to grow in the years ahead. We expect industry sales by 1975 to be in the area of 13.3 million cars and trucks. This would represent an increase of about 30% over the vehicles sold in 1970. The replacement parts business should experience equally impressive growth. While the replacement parts industry as a whole was expanding approximately 85% in the last 10 years, AC sales were increasing over 107%. Many of you have contributed to this fine record. In the future, there will be fewer part numbers because of the trend toward greater interchangeability of parts and because of the emphasis on complete component replacement. You can expect to enjoy a higher turnover on investment in an expanding future market. You must gear yourself for these expanding markets. The customers of the future will demand greater availability and more efficient service. Building on the outstanding record of the past, I am confident that our industry and yours will meet the challenges of the 1970s with greater service and availability to the American motoring public in the years ahead. To ensure support for you, we want to emphasize that AC is there with you.
With the motoring public increasing in numbers and more cars than ever being purchased, together we have a great opportunity and a challenge to continue maximum service to this greatest transportation system in history. One of the main reasons for AC's continuing success through the years has been the quality products that have anticipated and fulfilled the customer's needs. The first and basic requirement when customer service is foremost in your mind is the very best product possible.
Quality control all the way here at AC.
Having great products is still not enough for us at AC.
We know what is most important to you is to have these products available when you need them.
Great products and ready availability are only two ways AC supplies support at the retail level. But I'm sure that we all agree that this fall, AC is going to get it all together, the support and the action.
We learned a lot from the spring campaign, a lot that'll help us this fall. We discovered that key retailers will get behind AC products and support a top merchandising program. It really means enlisting the support of the whole AC chain of distribution.
We found that calls had to be made, but that kind of extra effort sold AC products where they had never been sold before. And the fact that we have 15,000 AC diagnostic tune-up centers in the field makes service the word for the retailer and results the thing that customers get from AC.
Last spring, our efforts paid off. 53,000 key retailers enrolled in AC's program. They bought in the face of stiff competition from private brands and in the face of other very stiff competitive inducements. But now, for the first time, wholesalers have a defined market of enrolled retailers who will sell AC products. We're going to concentrate on those retailers again this fall.
As the number of customers increases, the demand on our industry increases. At AC, we recognize the ready-made opportunities to increase our retail market with a demanding customer. Together, we will make the most of these opportunities as we continue to change and improve our operations to provide better service to the American public.
Change is as modern as today. AC wholesalers and distributors must meet the changing priorities around the country, making the effort to capture new markets, greater profits, and more satisfied customers. How do we do it? By recognizing the wants and needs of the new breed of customer. Here are some changers at work.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you. Come back again. We attract business by having the merchandise when the customer needs it, and by having attractive displays. Last spring, when the AC field man went out with our guys, we opened up some really tough retailers. A good product and the right merchandising really helps us.
I cleaned up the counters, did some parts arranging. I found I could give better customer service, and sales increased too.
While I was out last spring enrolling retailers with the AC man, I discovered that some retailers who had the AC Diagnostic Tune-Up Center didn't have the complete AC line. It paid me to make those calls, and the merchandising program has kept working for me.
I've got to make use of every bit of help that I can get in my business. Last spring, when I discovered all the interest in the sport ball pack, I put together a little display of my own. If something helps the retailers, it helps me right here. I'm looking forward to AC's fall campaign because it will give me a lot more ideas. And when AC can help me get more sales, you can bet I'm going to cash in on it.
As an AC warehouse distributor, I know that I've got good products to sell. But I can't afford to rest on those laurels. Every promotion that AC designs for retail has one thought in mind: move those AC products to the motorist. My salesmen use every angle to assist their wholesalers. They try to keep the AC name before the public as much as possible. And we're going to work extra hard to enroll more and more dealers in the new campaign.
We know that AC has the best products and the finest distribution system in the automotive industry. We're confident that wholesalers are going to pick up those walk-in sales. So what are we after with this new plan, this fall campaign? We've zeroed in on the real tough ones. You know the guys in your area. Those guys who are large retailers but don't stock and sell AC now. They're the truly key retailers. But how can you move them and get their attention? Here's the way. Just listen to this.
This is the dazzling sound of stereo. This tape player and tapes can be yours and your customers through involvement in our fall campaign for retail.
That's right. This fall, the sound of music will fill the air. We'll offer key retailers this stereo tape player, a stereo demonstration tape, and 4 music tapes. Music right from the top 100. This whole package is worth $130 at retail. How does the retailer qualify for this premium? To enroll, he places an order for 240 AC oil or air filters of his choice. The best part is this tape player and tapes worth $130 are free to the enrolled retailer when he places his qualifying order. That's right, free. We suggest a qualifying order of AC filters because they're an especially good profit maker for both wholesalers and retailers, and we must ensure greater consumer availability on our filter lines. You think that's a lot of AC merchandise for some retailers to handle? Maybe some, but don't forget we're after the key retailers, the ones who sell in volume. As we discussed last spring, the key retailers are the volume retailers. They're the ones we're after this fall. And we think it's time that key retailers support you, the guy they depend on day in and day out. Support you with their purchase of fast-moving parts. Remember, they're our customers too. And here's how we'll help the retailer move the AC products. These are certificates for the retailer to use as traffic builders. They don't cost him 1 cent. But with them, his customers can buy records, cassette tapes, reel-to-reel tapes, or 8-track stereo tapes, all at a very handsome discount. Dealers can build their tune-up business, their oil change business, winterizing business, by offering these certificates to their customers. But we don't stop there. We want to make sure that AC products will move as never before at retail. Our men who enroll those big retailers with you will place a banner on the window that ties in the certificates with primetime TV commercials appearing this fall. That's right. You'll be seeing these commercials during breaks in this fall's NFL action.
This is the grueling Mexican 1000. When you pit your car against the treacherous Baja, you've got to have equipment you can rely on. That's why Johnny Johnson chose AC spark plugs when he set out to win this brutal off-the-road endurance test. AC's hot tip resists fouling, gave Johnny the firepower he needed to set a new class record. And that same hot tip is built into the AC Actnighter spark plugs that go into your family car. They fire hotter, burn cleaner, give you faster starts and a smoother running engine. Next tune-up, insist on reliable AC Actnighter spark plugs. They're original equipment on all GM cars.
You go more carefree when you go with AC. AC is there with you.
When you're out to smash the record in the Mexican 1000, the world's toughest off-the-road endurance test, you've got to have equipment you can rely on. Overall winner Drino Miller went all the way with AC oil and air filters and chopped 4.5 hours off the old record. AC filters gave Drino the extra protection he needed to go through mile after mile of choking dust like this. No matter where you drive or what you drive, give your car the extra protection and reliability that helped Drino Miller beat the Baja. Next time, insist on AC oil and air filters. They're original equipment on all GM cars.
You go more carefree when you go with AC. AC is there with you.
A cleaner running engine can really be music to your ears, because now, at participating service stations displaying this banner, you can receive this valuable AC stereo bonus certificate when you buy an AC oil filter. Now, for all the details, see a participating service station dealer. Wherever you drive, make sure AC's there with you, protecting your engine. Get a fresh AC oil filter now. AC, spelled AC.
With power-packed TV commercials like this one, dealer business should boom. The dealer gets 25 tape discount certificates when he enrolls, and 100 more come with the tape player. Remember, the tape player and tapes are free to the retailer with his qualifying order of AC filters, and so are the certificates. So the retailer has the ammunition to turn TV-created interest into sales action, and that means profits. This tape player is so good, the retailer's going to want to keep it, perhaps hide it, in fact, until Christmas. But retailers will recognize, too, that the tape player has great customer appeal. To help build traffic, AC is making extra players available to dealers or their customers for $70 delivered, complete with the tapes. The certificates have a stub attached. As an added incentive, the dealer can conduct a business-building sweepstakes. Those customers who don't win can buy the player and pocket the savings. It all ties together, and it all means business for you. Powerful as the tape player promotion is, AC's fall campaign doesn't stop there. The T&P program continues. You can encourage follow-up orders for all AC products with T&P certificates. Many dealers have been accumulating T&P certificates for Christmas ordering. They'll want more certificates now in order to get the bikes, the cameras, the gifts that belong under the Christmas tree. And AC is committed to be with you at retail. Perhaps you recall the big dealer enrollment drive in the spring, capped off by Action Week. The result? More dealers, more AC product sales than any other similar period in history. Pleased as we are with last spring's success, and we thank you for your vital part in it, we're out to do even better this fall. During the month of October, all AC fieldmen will be enrolling key dealers with you. The enrollment drive will again build toward a one-week blitz when all AC sales personnel, field and factory, will be in action enrolling dealers with you. We're going to need your support more than ever, and we know we'll get it. What ammunition we have together. You know we have the best products. Our service is the best in the business. The AC Diagnostic Tune-Up Center is only one example of extra effort. We have the best distribution, you. We proved that in the spring, and we'll top that now. We're expanding our advertising to increase our brand awareness at the car owner level. And we have the best hard-hitting merchandising campaigns. We know they work. We've learned that. And we know that our fall campaign will get more key retailers and keep them. That's how we meet increased demands and expanding opportunities, by really operating as a team, with you. Our new plan, the fall campaign, is going to produce the results you want, while we continue to provide better and better service to the American motorist. When we say that AC is there with you, we mean it.
AC is there with you to serve your customers and ours better. Through our combined efforts, we can continue to contribute to the finest system of transportation that history has seen. In so doing, we can participate fully in the expanding automotive markets that lie ahead.
That was great, but I was supposed to read this beforehand. In a moment, I'd like to tell you about our Super Drive. Before that, I'd like to discuss the new merchandising programs introduced to you in our motion picture. You know about the TNP, I'm supposed to hold up a catalog, program. We believe it's the best, the strongest prize point incentive program in the industry. You sell the TNP for all it's worth. The Elgin Stereo Tape Player is the finest retail promotion we've ever offered. The retailer can use this stereo unit complete, and I guess I'm supposed to be motioning to the Elgin. Complete with the tapes and no obligation membership in the Columbia Record Club. All for his personal enjoyment. Enrollment requires a purchase of 240 AC oil or air filters. The tape players and the tapes, $130 retail value, are free when he places his qualifying order. So this is not for the main customer, like the person who drives their car in. This is for the person who is ordering the products from the distributor or the jobber. Enrollment, let's see, I'm sure any good merchandising dealer will see that this is a rare opportunity for him. The consumer's certificates, which come with the stereo package, are the retailer's traffic builders. He doesn't pay a cent for them, but with them, his customers can buy records, cassettes, reel-to-reel tapes, and 8-track stereo tapes as substantial savings. Also, the consumer may purchase the Elgin stereo tape player at a reasonable price. He can give them to customers who patronize. I mean, so this is what's interesting, because when I used to work at a college textbook store, there were companies that had these incentive things that were supposedly for the customers, but if you read between the lines, it's basically their prizes for whoever's placing the orders, and it's this kind of like, sneaky thing, because you're not, as a buyer, you're not supposed to accept gifts, and so this isn't a gift, it's this weird thing. There's also a colorful identification banner for the dealer to put in his window, plus ad mats for local promotions. Wow, this is great. Little booklets like this. Anyways, was that last song, what was it, AC is Power? Was that a toe tapper? We have to start thinking about that soon, as we are coming up against Found Footage Festival, probably in April or May. So think about that. Was that a toe tapper? Put it in the comments. In the meantime, let's learn about flashover, the point of no return.
For you and your patients is a point of no return. Fire is very deceiving. It grows faster and differently than you think. A fire usually starts small. A careless cigarette, an electrical overload, 1,000 other ways. A small fire can be easily put out. However, as this test record shows, fire can grow quickly to a point where it can be put out only by trained firefighters or built-in firefighting equipment like automatic sprinklers. However, you do have a powerful fire control weapon at your command, the hospital door. The hospital-type door can, if closed, stop or delay a fire from spreading, holding back or even preventing flashover. It can provide time for the fire department to arrive and for you to safely evacuate patients from the area. Closing the door on the fire is important even if your hospital or nursing home has automatic sprinklers, because a great deal of smoke will be produced while the sprinklers are putting the fire out. Once a fire gets a start, it can grow, perhaps slowly at first, become larger and hotter until suddenly it changes its character and erupts out of control. How does this change take place? All fires will grow if they have sufficient fuel, and in doing so will generate clouds of deadly smoke and lots of heat. The smoke and heat will concentrate near the ceiling. Even when the fire is only in one portion of the room, hot smoke and gases are being given off, and the ceiling is being heated to an extremely high temperature. The real danger is at the top. The flashover trigger is at the ceiling. During this time, everything in the room becomes hotter. Soon, all combustibles are ready to ignite. The fire can then suddenly spread from a single surface like the bed to envelop the entire room in flames, often pushing flame and smoke into the corridor. This is called flashover. Flashover is fire out of control. Less than half a minute of a laboratory test demonstrates the suddenness and force of flashover. This is why nurses and nurses' aides and everyone else on the staff must be more aware of what to do in case of fire and how little time they have to do it. To show the importance of time and flashover, smoke, and doors, we have created a typical fire story. The story is based on real fire cases and real fire facts. Staff and patients of an actual nursing home and a professional artist have been used to dramatize the actions of the people and the facts of the fire. Our case study begins when a lighted cigarette drops from a patient's hand as she dozes off to sleep. After a period of smoldering, a small flame appears. With the appearance of flame, the flashover clock is started. The flame reaches the bedding and will soon be too large to be put out by anyone inexperienced in fire control. 1 minute and 30 seconds after the first sign of flame, a nurse's aide walking by the room sees the fire burning at the side of the bed and the sleeping patient. She calls out for help from the nursing station. The nurse on duty starts toward the room. On her way, she pulls the fire alarm. The bell sounds in the building. The fire department is called. At 2 minutes, the nurse joins the aide and they begin to evacuate both of the patients from the room. 3 minutes after the flaming started, the nurse and her aide take the patients in the room to the fire exits. The door to the fiery room is left open. Staff members from other areas bring fire extinguishers to fight the fire. It is too late. The fire is much too large to be put out by a fire extinguisher. The smoke at the ceiling is black and is drifting into other patients' rooms. Flames are licking from the bed into the black smoke. Everything in the room is being preheated. Soon the room begins to flash over. Flame roars over the heads of the would-be firefighters, pushing them back from the room. Flames spread across the face of the open door so they can't close it. With flashover fully triggered, flames belch into the corridor and smoke fills the hall from smoke door to smoke door. The nurses, their aides, the patients in the room, and the would-be firefighters all escape. The fire department arrives quickly. The firefighters, equipped with breathing apparatus, use hose streams and easily put out the fire in short order. However, helpless patients down the hall were dying unnoticed during the time the fire was being attacked. Smoke is the killer. Patients in the nursing home could not tolerate the smoke as well as the people caring for them. Although the patients in the fiery room had been evacuated in time, other patients died in their beds from smoke inhalation. What went wrong? First, the nurse and her aide did not recognize the suddenly changing stages of fire growth. They didn't know about flashover. Second, they didn't realize how fast smoke can move from a room down a hallway into other rooms. Third, they didn't consider the weakened condition of their patients, especially those with respiratory problems. And last, they weren't aware of the strategic importance of closing the door to the room on fire. Now let's go back and pick up the story at the point where the nurse pulls the fire alarm and see what could have been done to contain the fire, stop the spread of smoke, and save lives. Immediately upon arriving at the room, The nurse and her aide should have brought the patients out of the room, closed the door, and placed them in a safe, nearby location. This could have saved lives. After the door to the room on fire was closed, the door to every other occupied room should have been closed. This is to protect the other patients until they can be evacuated. Only then should patients be moved to a more distant location. Remember, if you face fire, get closed doors between the fire and your patients, and call for help. If you box in the smoke and flame by closing doors, you will have made time your safety margin. If the door is open, smoke and fire can rapidly spread into the hall, and there will not be time to save everyone. You are in charge. You can make the time you need to give your patients safety in fire, or you can lose it to the fire. In a nursing home or hospital, many people are depending on you to make the right decisions in an emergency. Remembering what to do in case of fire can mean the difference between life and death. Please remember that flashover is a point of no return for the fire, for you, and for your patients.
What, may I ask? My dear child, we haven't had school or books in ages.
No school? Really?
Why don't you get rid of that school book? You can drop them in here.
It'll get all burned up in there.
Well, of course it will, dear child. And so it should. Books tamper with man's basic, natural ignorance. Now, what could be worse than that?
But I can't burn this book. It's school property.
Nonsense! Apple sugar. You just need to get into the mood.
Books are not where it's at, teaching you how to spell cat. I know you'd rather play, so why don't you throw all your books away? Books are made for burning, the fire is already yearning to put an end to any learning.
1, 3, 5, 9, throw them in, the fire's right.
Put the books in the fire, see the flames growing higher. Burning books is our heart's desire.
2, 4, 6, 8, time to incinerate.
Books will not make you wise, and reading's bad for your eyes. I am sure you agree, so why don't you give all your books to me? Books are made for burning, fire is already yearning to put an end to any learning.
This one here is very good about a man named Robin Hood.
Put the books in the fire, see the flames growing higher. Burning books is our heart's desire.
Though I never liked Tom Sawyer, I won't be a book destroyer.
Books can only confuse, teaching you things you can't use. You should listen to me. Burning your books will set your mind free.
Books are made for burning,
So not to make light of people who have been burned in hospital fires, it obviously was a problem because I have 5 or so films on the topic about what to do when there's a fire in a hospital, because the results are tragic. Also, I scan a lot of things for other people, and I scanned something that it said Texas City Disaster, and I was like, huh, I wonder what this is. So we watched it, or we were scanning it, and yeah, look it up on Google, Texas City. It's near Galveston. It was in the late 40s. There was a series of horrifying explosions, and this film was basically for forensics, to how do you determine, based on the body parts, the charred body parts that you found, who is what and who is who. I was not expecting that, and of course we will not be sharing that on this show. It was fascinating and shocking, and it was quite the tragedy back in the day. All right, on that happy note, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for saying that you like the AC is Power song. I like it too. I like a good, strong, early 70s jingle, and that one is a good competitor. So we'll add that one to the list. If you like what you saw, or at least your brain was tickled by it, because there was a lot of shocking, not necessarily shocking, but just like, whoa, whoa, whoa today. Unintentionally so. I didn't really plan on any of it to be like that. Anyways, if you like what you saw, ko-fi.com/avgeeks is a way to reward us with coffee. But you can also hit the thumbs up button, or the like button, or the whatever button. Join us tomorrow. I'll try not to be as shocking, but who knows? Some of the stuff we haven't seen, and certainly home movies, man, who knows? But yeah, join us tomorrow. We'll have a good time watching some more films. Everybody take care and have a good rest of your Wednesday.